Okay, so I just wanted to have a conversation and ask you, talk to you about like how you felt like so far, like things. But I haven't been in the classrooms as much as I wanted to, just because of like everything that happened with seventh grade and all the changes moving around.
Yeah, I know.
Hopefully, what it's looking like the direction it's going to go is that Missouri is going to kind of like take over more of the principal responsibilities.
Okay.
I can do more of like dean of students, working with individual students and stuff like that, like I'm supposed to or whatever. Sit in the classrooms and stuff.
It's probably just a student. I just don't see all the time.
No, you're good. What's up? Yeah, what's up, G? Well, we got to come in, so do me a minute. Okay. This is your, what year are you in? First year, okay. So what would you say or you feel like has been just overall, like if you had to put like two like things, like your biggest struggle, you feel like?
I feel like, okay, I'm really good at managing students when they're one-on-one. But I think in the classroom setting, I think that's really difficult for me. And I also like, I know this is an impossible question, but I think I also like managing classroom, like just in the classroom setting. Small groups, like when I'm doing tutoring, like I got the kids. When I'm working one-on-one with the kids, I got them. But when they're all in the classroom, I think it's difficult. And then two, I don't know how to teach burnt out students, but I know nobody does. My kids have never been to burnt out.
Say that again?
Like I don't know how to teach burnt out students.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
you know, like they're just exhausted, right?
Yeah.
And I'm exhausted. So
Yeah.
I can't be like, oh, I can't be like, no, you're not. This is like,
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted. And I think even managing my exhaustion as an adult, I don't do it in healthy ways. So I can't really be like, oh, you should try this, or like encourage kids to do other things. So I just feel like I don't know how to get to them if they're burnt out, but it's also like I'm burnt out myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's really where those are like my two biggest struggles. I also think I'm not necessarily like the most assertive person in the world, but I do think like I still navigate the world however I choose. But I think that working on my assertion is another thing, like how I assert myself. Also like, so I've never felt like a respect is owed. I feel like it's kind of something you earn. And I think that I have earned my students' respect, but I think that they still don't know the difference between like having a cool teacher and being able to be respectful of them versus having a cool teacher taking advantage of them.
Yeah.
And I think that I kind of struggle to assert myself in sometimes because it's like I don't want y'all to like lose that friendship. Like for example, I don't have a problem with kids skipping my class. The only kid that skips my class is Kevin. He skips my class because other kids, he's always had problems with other kids. He just doesn't want to do my work or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't have the time to go back and forth and have private conversations with him because I realized I was giving him all this attention. He wants that attention.
Yeah.
And I can't keep giving it to him if I have a classroom full. So finding a sweet spot between like, for lack of a better term, being an asshole and being a good teacher. And like being a teacher. Like so I try my best to like to stay on the line of rationality, like okay, well if you did this, you kind of forced my hand. I noticed that like when I do the offering options, like okay, if we do it this way, if we do it this way, or you can do this, or you can do this, you have the choice. Like I'm letting you know that that's what your two options are. That's what I'm willing to give you, and that has worked a lot. It's helped a lot, but I still feel like in terms of like putting away my niceness and knowing, because I've always struggled with being able to identify when people are taking advantage of me, but like knowing when people, like when the students are taking advantage of my kindness.
Right.
It's like I had, for example, like yesterday, I did having a conversation with my kids, and I was telling them like, I was like, y'all give me caca and expect candies and flowers in return. I was like, but I've been giving y'all candies and flowers since like I got here, but all y'all giving me is caca. So how do you want me to?
And the thing with kids is that, and I learned this as my, because I was only in the classroom for 3 years.
Okay.
So I learned very quickly in my first year that I was the exact same way where it was like, and again, I didn't come from an education background either. You know, it was just like, hey, okay, we need some money, this is the way to do it, we're gonna get this alternative certification, all right, bam, let's go into it.
Right.
And so understanding that structure and having that for kids was really tough because again, you want to be cool, you come in, like I think I was like 25 or whatever it was whenever I came in, so I really wanted to be like that new age type of teacher or whatever.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I realized very early on is that there's no gray area for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they just, it's, you know, they will take advantage every single chance that they can, and then they will spend as much as, they will try to spend as much time then at that point to distract and deter you from the thing that they don't want to do.
Right.
You know, which is math, and it's tough, especially in like a core content class like math, or, you know, I taught English.
Okay.
And so it's like, you know, they don't see that gray area. And so I learned, you know, going into my, you know, my second, my third year, you know, I gotta be tough and I gotta be assertive. But you can do it out of love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can tell, you know, student, Garrett, whoever, hey, look, this, you know, this is what you're doing wrong, this, you know, whatever, and they can be upset and they can be mad, and then then you can reel it back and say, okay, look, now let's talk. You know what I mean? Because the problem that a lot of them have, like Ben Sid and stuff like that, they want to be heard in the moment.
Yeah.
I got 45 minutes.
Right.
I got 45 minutes. We're not about to have that conversation.
Right.
And you know, a lot of them do it, and I see them do it to a lot of teachers, where they'll sit there and they'll do every little thing that they can to distract you, to get you off task, and literally it's only like one or two that will do it. You know what I mean? And so you have to be firm with them, because my last year that I taught, like I felt like I had it down. I was already in my third year. I kind of, you know, I had my systems in place and stuff like that. I kind of already knew I was going to be going into administration and whatnot. But I felt like that third year teaching, where I was my meanest and my most whatever, making the phone calls when I said I was going to make the phone calls, following through, writing people up, you know, exactly how I said I was going to do. I felt like I still had as many kids that always wanted to be in my class or come see me during lunch or whatever, as they did even in that first year, because kids won't, like, you can't see it, but they want that structure.
Yeah.
They really do. They want that structure. They want to be held accountable.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like, because I see that a lot, especially, you know, with the kids, they always want to be in here. They always want to be here. So there's something that's attracting that to them. But is it because, hey, Mr. Gill is the cool teacher, I really like him, or is it because, hey, I know he's not going to say nothing. Hey, I know he's not going to whatever else. You know what I mean? Because a kid will throw you under the bus any chance that they can, and they will use your name to say, well, I did this and that. They don't. There's no gray area with them. It's just like, you know what I mean? And so that's just one thing that you got to be really careful of. You know, another thing too, and there's just little things, and I think this is just me, like, you know, my background. Talk to me about your philosophy with kids and like being behind your desk.
Okay, me personally, I don't mind.
Okay.
But I know that other teachers have maintained that boundary, so I didn't necessarily know what the standard is. But I think that, like, trying to establish that boundary and like letting them know like the rules have changed, I think I just decided that, like, after I come back from break, I'm just gonna have to do a reset on everything.
Yeah.
Because Miss Davis had explained that to me like yesterday.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, you really shouldn't have kids behind your desk, type of thing. So I think I just have to be more persistent. But I know that now it's not necessarily the best time to enforce that or to bring that in. So I'm just like putting that on my list for what to do.
I think with little things like that, I think like big type restructure, I think it's you know, some of them are okay to wait. I think things like that, you know, kids sitting in the desk and not on tables and stuff like that. I think stuff like that is okay to start right off the bat, so that way they get the routine of it. You know, not even, I mean, because we could go into all the, well, if there's other student documents with other students' names and privacy and all that other stuff or whatever. But I think that it just sets a standard for, hey, look, this is Mr. Gill's space. This is his area. I'm respecting your area. This is, you know what I mean? And one thing that I wish we didn't see, this is my first year here on this campus. I was in a different campus last year. But one of the things that we would do previously at my previous campus is we would do this thing called social contract. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I have, I think, where like you just go over like the norms of the school, of like the classroom, and then you have the kids sign in.
Right, yeah, but they create it. You know what I mean? And so that's what I would do, is that we would create it as a class, and then we would, I would have all of them sign it, and you're holding them to something that they created. You know what I mean? And it's not just something, because a lot of teachers, they would do it, and post it on the wall, and it would just sit there, right? But every single time that I redirect or that or whatever, hey, you agreed to this. And it was something very short. You didn't have 10 things on there. It was 3 things, hey, because you can really tie everything into, hey, be respectful, be on time, and, you know, try your best, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just, I think that conversation that you have as a class, you know, and you just tell them, hey, what are 3 things that you guys expect of me and then I'm gonna expect of you? Like, we're gonna do this together. You know what I mean? You guys expect me to be here. Y'all don't expect for a sub or for whatever, you know what I mean? Or for me to constantly be late. You hold me to this, I'm gonna hold you to this. And it's just, it's an agreement. And then that way, every single time somebody, hey, you agree to this. You agree to this. And it's no longer, hey, me as the teacher, I'm the adult, you have to listen to me type of like relationship that you're having with them. Instead, it's a, you know, hey, we agreed to this. This is something we established that we were gonna do. You know what I mean? Just something to think about, you know what I mean? But again, I think spending, again, and I mean, you're a double blowout class, but it's something that over 30 minutes, if you can have that, hey, that conversation with them, but I think that would be something really important to kind of help you with your whole, you know, classroom reset or whatever. But again, it's like, I don't know, it just makes me think of like being at home, you know what I mean, and like having your feet up or whatever. It creates just a mentality that the kids that I'm not here to work, that I'm here to just hang out and to play around and stuff like that. You know? I tell people all the time, I try to do as much work as I can here, because then when I get home, the minute the work, there's just something about when you get home, you're not in work zone no more. You know, even when I can't remember who they said it, but it was something about like even when you get home, like if you intend on working, stay in your work clothes. Yeah. Because the minute you change out of work clothes or take your shoes off, your brain, it just tells you, nope, I'm not, and that's why kids struggle with virtual learning so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's was one of the kids, like when I was in school, I just graduated college, so like I was like, I've been telling them, like, I think they know that, like, I tell them I'm 75, but they know that, like, I'm not, obviously not 75, and like the things that we relate on, but I think that one thing that they've noticed is that, like, I'm not, like, there's a part of me that understands why they act the way that they act in the school system after COVID. Like, I completely get it, I really do. But I think that, for example, for me, like, a lot of, like, I'm in college, like, we're allowed to go to classes, so I just, like, I never could do that, because I just knew with myself, if I show up in sweats, I'm not gonna pay attention. Like, and I think that that's one thing that I realized, like, for me personally, even, like, when I get back from school, I'd be in my, like, school clothes and my regular clothes, like, I dress up like this every day, so like, coming to work like this isn't hard, but like getting dressed and stuff like that, like I would be dressed until like midnight working on stuff. And then it's like, once I take my clothes off, it's like all of it's gone. And it just feels good that way. So I think having a routine in that manner is good, but I never thought about how that would translate to like a classroom space too. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, if I'm over here, it just, you know, and the kids don't realize that, hey, I'm out of my routine. That's why, like, even, you know, I hate the whole, the fact that we do, you know, split lists and stuff like that. I get it. It's a, you know, teacher shortage and sub shortage is just an epidemic everybody's dealing with, so it's something we just have to deal with. But even just not being in their classroom, you know what I mean? And it completely, it throw kids off. Or when we do, like, you know, we haven't had to do it much, but when we do, like when we do ACPs and the schedule's thrown off, right? When they're starting at fifth period or whatever, little things like that, it just derails them because they're so used to their routines. The minute you throw them off, it's just, you know, it's just a struggle. So, but I do want to start coming in more. What are some things that you want me to like look for? Because I'm not your rater, you know what I mean? So I don't want you to feel like that. You know, well, I don't want you to be afraid to mess up or make mistakes or whatever and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So what are some things that you want me to look for? Because at the end of the day, you know, none of this right here matters if the kids aren't focused on it. They're not, you know, the classroom management part, none of that can happen unless the classroom, which means the numbers, none of that's gonna happen unless, you know what I mean, they're in structure and order. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, and I think it starts with like very simple in the morning, right? I mean, there needs to, I mean, do they have a do now that they do first thing that they come out?
Posted when they come in,
Okay, yeah, I would just, I mean, again, it's just, I mean, hey, you're not in your seat, you're not working on it, you're targeted. You know what I mean? And
that's what I tell them. I started telling them, like, if you're not in my class, or like if you're not here doing your job, like I'm marking absent.
Right.
They think that I'm joking, but then they say, look, so you marked me absent because you weren't here. You were here, but you weren't here, obviously, because you weren't participating. I asked you numerous times to do my work, and it's not like I don't give you chances. I'm that person. I'll let you slide 100 times.